Hi, I'm Soupy2k. It's nice to meet you, and you're listening to The Vanguard.
Thank you for coming in, Soupy2k. You had such an amazing set with Triple Guest as well. Let's talk about the songs you've just performed. What made you choose these songs?
Thank you, by the way. But we chose them because they're kind of just a little bit slower, and we didn't want to do anything too crazy. We didn't want to be hopping around when there's no pit, there's no
Yeah.
people here. We kind of looked at it more like almost like a tiny desk concert. Initially, we were planning on sitting for these, but then I got very quickly shot down on that idea.
Yeah.
But there are 3 songs that are coming up very soon on our Triple 2K album that's out next week, projected next week. And we just thought we'd show them off because nobody's heard those.
Yeah. What are those songs that you just, like when there is that pit in front of you that you just want to get the crowd hype?
We got one called Invasion of the Body Snatchers that we do. We got one called Otacon. And those are the ones that we like to do to
Yeah.
get people going nuts. We just didn't want to do anything with 808s here. You know, that was basically the gist.
Yeah. And we're just going to jump right into it. So at 10 years old, you created your very first beat.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to know if there were any artists or people in your life that really inspired you to produce music at such a young age.
Yeah, I know a guy named Eric. Hi, Eric, if you're watching this. He's from New Orleans, and he taught me how to play drums. And I'd already been playing the keys a little bit. I had like a little Casio, little toy keyboard. But once I learned the drums, kind of once you add rhythm into it, it kind of makes you start thinking about things, makes you start putting the pieces together. So I just started putting the pieces together, and eventually it just leads you to making a beat. I mean, we had a little multi-track on the little Casio that I had, so I was able to kind of do it that way, and then I just drum along to it. I can thank that guy a lot for it.
So at 10 years old, you created your very first beat.
Mm-hmm.
And what were some artists that inspired you to produce music at such a young age?
Jay Dilla and the Beatles. That was basically about all I was listening to at that time. And I'm still trying to combine the two worlds even today. That's it.
Yeah. Are there any songs in particular that really take influence from Dilla or the Beatles or any of their albums?
I mean, a lot of my early stuff sounds like I'm just trying really hard to be Dilla.
Mm-hmm.
So you can hear it if you go back on SoundCloud. But I don't know, the Beatles, it's just more about efficiency of songwriting and actually trying to make something interesting that isn't like, here's a rap song.
Yeah. And your first tape, Crime and Punishment, that was released back in 2020.
Yep.
It was also in collaboration with Triple Cast.
Mm-hmm.
And were there any other genres that you also tried to emulate or integrate into these sounds?
From what I recorded
Mm-hmm.
and have released, never. I've always just been making beats.
Mm-hmm.
But not recording, just playing live. I did a lot of jazz stuff, a lot of drumming, playing keys, especially in my hometown. I would do little sets at like our annual festival, and I'd band lead and write scores, and so it was a lot of jazz and a little bit of rock involved too. But I don't know, once I got FL Studio, it kind of changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What instruments did you play during when you played jazz?
I played the keyboard and the drums mostly.
Mm-hmm. So what were some drummers that you would try to emulate?
Drummers? Jimmy Chamberlain and Art Blakey. I got pretty good at emulating Jimmy Chamberlain, and I was never able to imitate Art Blakey.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was probably my favorites.
Yeah. So you created this label called Paperjack Records or Paperjack Productions.
Yep.
Can you tell me a little bit more about what it is and what you do behind the scenes?
Well, it's a 7-person roster. We got myself, we got Triple Cash, 4K Phil, Fatboy Jonesy, OKX, Becca Tank, and Millennium Abbott. They're all phenomenal artists, and we got an insane team of in-house producers as well and in-house graphic designers. It's basically just a way for me to give what I'm doing purpose, because it's very easy to sit down and be like, I don't really know why I'm doing this. So making it kind of a collective hive mind sort of thing, that's kind of the reason it came about. And we were already all doing stuff together, so it made a lot of sense. And we didn't want to do like a collective, like everyone was like back in 2020, in the late 2010s and stuff, everyone was just trying to do the Brockhampton thing or something like that. And we wanted to find a way to be a collective without being a collective.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remembered that record labels exist, so I just did that.
Yeah. How do you determine which creators are offered a spot on this roster?
Well, I need to be cool with them. Like, this is not, when we're in-house, it's not business. It obviously has business qualities, but it's friendships. So, I gotta be friends with you. And your music can't be bad.
Yeah.
And it's gotta be mixable.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do all the mixing. And it's very easy to get scared off when someone sends you a bunch of stems and you're like, what is this?
Yeah. So you were talking about how other collectives and groups do imitate certain artists like Brockhampton.
Mm-hmm.
So what artists do these people on your roster take inspiration from?
Well, it's quite a mix. I'll just dead name them. Phil, who is probably our flagship, he is very inspired by kind of the almost Dreamville side of things, those guys. And also rappers like Mike, Navy Blue, people like that. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you got guys like Jonesy, Fatboy Jonesy, who are inspired by like Baby Keem and, Z-Loopers and Yeet. And then we got Becca, who's inspired by like probably the Grateful Dead or something. Sorry, Becca. She likes the soul and she likes the sax. Like, it's a very dynamic roster. So everyone is kind of coming from a completely different place. So I guess you asked earlier, what do I consider when I work with people or involve them at Paperjack? It can't be, they can't be bringing something that's already on the table as well. So everyone's coming from different places.
Yeah. Are there any subgenres that you enjoy more than others within rap?
I don't get too much into the subgenre thing because it starts to make me feel like I'm on like some forum.
Mm-hmm.
But usually what I tend to gravitate towards is described as alternative hip hop. And I like Plug-in B too.
Yeah. What is that?
It's like Boof Pack Mookie and just listen to Boof Pack Mookie.
Boof Pack Mookie.
Yeah.
Shout out Boof Pack Mookie.
Shout out Boof Pack Mookie.
Mm-hmm. Who put you onto them?
I think my brother. My brother puts me onto a lot. My brother was on Yeet before anybody was on Yeet.
Really?
His name is CJ. Shout out CJ. Hi, CJ.
The CJ rap?
CJ does not rap. CJ plays basketball. He hoops. He dunks on people.
Mm-hmm.
Don't play with him.
What are some other artists that your brother put you on?
He honestly kind of like, you could attribute to him me kind of taking rap seriously, just in general. Like at a really young age, when I was getting more into jazz, he literally could rap all of Only God Could Judge Me when he was like 9.
Mm-hmm.
So he was showing me a lot of the classics. And of course, I think around that, I was probably like 11 or 12. And I think around then, like, To Pimp a Butterfly came out. And everyone loves that album. And when that happened, my brother is like, yo, check this out. And I check it out, and I'm like, whoa. And he's kind of done that with a lot of different albums. Just a lot of the classics. Just my introduction to like Illmatic and stuff like that he gets that credit.
Yeah.
So you get that credit. You can. That's the only time I'm gonna be nice to you, though.
What are some other East Coast rappers that you really enjoy? Because you got Nas. Mm-hmm.
Well, I already mentioned Mike. I'm a big fan of how he creates what seem like very lo-fi soundscapes, but it's deceptive. They're not. He clearly labors over them. So I like him a lot. YL, Starker, those two. Anything that West Side Gun does, or anything he's involved in. That Rome Streets album last year, Kiss the Ring. Oh my God. And of course Makami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out Makami.
Shout out Makami. I'm scared of you, but shout out Makami.
Are there any particular regions that you enjoy more than others? Do you think like West Coast rap isn't all that, or do you think East Coast rap is like superior? You know, Jay-Z.
I think East Coast is superior. you
Yeah.
know? And I mean, not just because it's the birthplace, but like they just got better music. They're more consistent, I think. Like during kind of like that bling era, they had a lot more going on than the West Coast did, I think. Like West Coast had like The Game as their biggest guy, you know? And then East Coast, you can name tons and tons.
Mm-hmm.
And, but the best is probably, other than East Coast rap, honestly, number two would be Southern rap.
Yeah. Southern rap, really?
Southern hip hop, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ballsiest when it comes to the instrumentals. They always have been.
Yeah. Well, I guess we've been really having a lot of Southern artists coming out right now. We got Travis Scott. The
Yeah, tons of
Migos, I
people.
believe, are from the South too. The Migos?
Yeah, Migos are from Atlanta, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Atlanta's been the hip hop capital for probably 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that is slowly deflating a little bit, but they're still the kings right now.
Yeah. So you mentioned Phil, and you and Phil have actually had a song that was included in a video game, NBA 2K.
Yeah, 22.
Yeah. How did this partnership between you and Phil begin?
Yeah, 4K Phil, he followed me on Instagram, and then I slid into his DMs. It's the only time I've ever done that. But I had just dropped Crime and Punishment with Triple. I had just moved back to Minnesota, and I was like, I wanted to switch it up. I wanted to have more than one thing on my plate because I don't do well with stasis, you know. So I decided I'll just hit up one of these rappers that are following me and see if they can work. And then I got extremely lucky because he's phenomenal and he's got a crazy work ethic. And he's got an album coming out this month as well on Paperjack. It's called Actions Speak Louder. And I'm very excited about it. We got a track on there that it hits me in my soul. The beat makes me cry.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we've been working for a couple years now. Our first collaboration was on my first solo album called Indulgences. And, yeah, he was with Paperjack from the jump. He's one of the few.
Yeah. Where do you go to find these artists other than Instagram in the Twin Cities?
In the Twin Cities, I like to go to a lot of house shows. Go to a lot of, a lot of record stores be having events and stuff like that, like the Fetus and stuff, but mostly house shows. I like how it's just kind of like a giant meeting of the minds usually, especially kind of the more jammy house shows. My favorite venue being the Golden Goose. Love you guys. Golden Goose. Everyone go to the Golden Goose.
Shout out Golden Goose.
Yeah, but
shout out Makami, shout out Golden Goose.
Shout out Makami and shout out the Golden Goose. Makami will be performing at the Golden Goose this Friday.
Yeah, no, especially around colleges and universities, there's just always something happening, you know.
It's it's hard not to run into it. I'll put it like this. It's hard to run into musically like-minded people for me. But it is not hard to run into artistically like-minded people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's usually hard to get on the same page with the music stuff.
Yeah. What's that difference like?
It's just a lot of people understand the artistry and respect it and want to be a part of it sometimes. And I love getting them involved, but it needs to be, for me, a very special bond, because I oversee, I curate, I sequence, I mix, I master, I produce every single album that we release, and I need to really care if I'm gonna commit to something like that. So, not that I have high standards, I'm just picky. So, often I don't find people that I actually want to work with around here. I would like to. So if you're out there, hi. But we like to keep the circle tight, I guess.
Yeah.
There's only so much time.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that really sets you apart from other producers, being able to, not only have that relationship with somebody, but having it just be you sequencing, mixing, and mastering everything?
Well, there's a lot of guys kind of doing that right now. Like I just mentioned, YL and Starker, they're just kind of like they're a 2-for-1 package deal, kind of half the time, most of the time. And they just do everything together. It's just like it's a really cool type of relationship that I kind of have with Triple, where you just know what the other person's thinking without saying anything.
Yeah.
Like, it's like telepathy or something. And there's a bunch of great artists that kind of have that connection. 2 great women, J Words and Masai. They have a duo. They're about to drop a new record, and they have a very similar relationship where they just lock in together. And once you find a creator like that, it's kind of hard to go back. It's kind of hard to not do it again, not get back in the studio with them. You just keep doing it. It becomes addictive.
Yeah. No, I really do think that some of the best music you'll ever hear is from groups that you can tell there is that level of friendship between them.
You need chemistry.
Exactly.
It's huge.
Mm-hmm. When did you and Triple Cast know that you guys had that chemistry? Did you guys sit in a couple sessions together? How was that like?
Well, we went to high school together, so it was there. We spent the first, I'd say, 3-4 years of our friendship not making any music at all, just talking about music and listening to music and messing around and stuff. But eventually we decided to tap in, and it was just clear. I think we both kind of knew that it was going to happen eventually too, because it was weird. We were both making music, but like separately. Like we were like, I was about to say something I can't say out here. We were just kind of teasing each other.
Yeah.
Pause.
Mm-hmm. So how does OKX fit into all this? Did he also go to high school with you both?
He didn't go to high school with us, but he went to high school in a town, just like a town over.
Yeah.
Kinda. And I always heard his name. We knew people that knew people, And then one day I see he drop something, and it's like the craziest electronic stuff I've heard since I discovered Autech or something. I was like, what is this? And he dropped a couple tapes. And that's the first time, and still probably the only time, that I heard something and got jealous. I got mad.
You're like, why are this good?
I was like, who is this guy? Like, what? And but now I'm not mad.
Yeah. Now that you got him around.
Yeah, we made a couple albums together. He just dropped one in May that I executive produced. I'm on one of the tracks too. The song is called Ryan Reynolds. I have a song called Ryan Reynolds.
Nice.
And it's a very crazy album. Listen to it if you're indulging.
Mm-hmm. So where can we find all this music? Where can we find Paperjack?
Everywhere. You can find it on YouTube. Just go to Paperjack Productions. Look it up. You can Google Paperjack Productions. It'll come up. Paperjackprod.com. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Music. We're on every single DSP that's available at the moment, including Deezer.
Oh.
Shout out Deezer.
Shout out Deezer. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming in. It was amazing to have you here and Triple Cast. And is there anything else you'd like to plug for the audience?
Yeah, Soupy2k is coming out this month. We're very excited to share it. We've been working on it for years now. And there's a lot more to come after that. We have albums locked for the rest of the year, and some of them will not have announcements. They're just going to show up at your doorstep, and you got to open the package, and you're probably going to like what's in there because it's free.
So keep an eye out.
Yeah, keep an eye out. Rip D. Much love. Shout out Radio K.